Tuesday, May 16th, 1944. Dearest Kitty, just for a change, as we haven't talked about them for so long, I want to tell you a little discussion that went on between Mr. and Mrs. Van Daan yesterday. Mrs. Van Daan, the Germans are sure to have made the Atlantic Wall very strong indeed. They will certainly do all in their power to hold back the English. It's amazing how strong the Germans are. Mr. Van Daan, oh yes, incredibly. Mrs. Van Daan, yes. Mr. Van Daan, the Germans are so strong they're sure to win the war at the end, in spite of everything. Mrs. Van Daan, it's quite possible. I'm not convinced of the opposite yet. Mr. Van Daan, I won't bother to reply anymore. Mrs. Van Daan, still, you always do answer me. You can't resist capping me every time. Mr. Van Daan, of course not, but my replies are the bare minimum. Mrs. Van Daan, but still, you do reply, and you always have to be the right. Your prophecies don't always come true by a long shot. Mr. Van Daan, they have up until now. Mrs. Van Daan, that's not true. The invasion was to have to come last year, and the Finns were to have been out of the war by now. Italy was finished in the winter, but the Russians would have already have Limburg. Oh no, I don't think much of your prophecies. Mr. Van Daan, now standing up. It's about time you shut your mouth. One day I'll show you that I'm right. Sooner or later you'll get enough of it. I can't bear any more of your grousing. You're so infuriating, but you'll stew in your own juice one day. End of part one. I really couldn't help laughing, Mummy too, while Peter sat biting his lip. Oh, those stupid grown-ups. They do better to start learning themselves before they have so much to say to the younger generation. Yours, Anne.